Hi everyone, I'm David Aragona, and I'm going to take an in-depth look at my TimeformUS Highlight Horse on Friday at Belmont Park. Friday is opening day at Belmont. I'm really looking forward to this card after many months at Aqueduct, and the feature race is the 8th race. It's the Affirmed Success Stakes at 6 furlongs for New York breds, and this drew a really interesting field with some horses coming back off layoffs and some horses that we've been familiar with in stakes races throughout the winter. We'll take a look at the entire 8-horse field, and the favorite is likely to be the number 4, Pat on the Back. This is a horse who had a very successful 2018 campaign, culminating in his win in the Empire Classic last year. That was going a mile and an eighth, and he's going to cut back to the 6 furlong distance as he returns from the layoff. So he's the clear favorite, but he's not necessarily a formidable presence given all the uncertainty. The number 8 Syndergaard is also likely to attract some support, as well as the number 2 Celtic Chaos and the number 6 I Love Lulu. We'll take a look at the TimeformUS pace projector to see where all of these horses are going to be situated after they leave the gate. And you see 3 horses across the track. And while the pace projector is not predicting a fast pace in this race, it could be contested towards the front end, as the number 1 Bavaro is a confirmed frontrunner, and the number 6 I Love Lulu and the number 7 Tribeca are also horses that want to be forwardly placed. Horses like Runaway Loot and Syndergaard also shouldn't be too far off the pace, so we could see a contested opening few fractions, but I don't think we're going to see a supersonic pace that's necessarily going to set it up for deep closers like Celtic Chaos. We'll take a look at that aforementioned favorite, Pat on the Back, and his past performances. As I mentioned, he's coming off a significant layoff and cutting back in distance to make this return to the races. If he comes back in the same form that we saw in 2018, he's very likely to win this race because Pat on the Back is a very versatile horse. He can win going as far as a mile and an eighth as he did in that Empire Classic, but he's been successful at sprint distances in the past. I thought he ran exceptionally well in this very race last year where he also made his return coming off a layoff, finishing second to I Love Lulu. He was closing well that day, and he's likely to be again coming from off the pace in this race. Given the turn back in distance, he just won't possess the speed to stick with those aforementioned frontrunners. I think he is the horse to beat, and in some ways, he clearly is the most talented horse in this race, but I'm a little bit wary of him because he might not run his best race coming off the layoff. Jeremiah Engelhardt, his trainer, looking at DRF Formulator, doesn't have the strongest numbers with horses in this situation. 120 to 240 day layoffs with horses coming back from routes to sprints on the dirt. He's just 5 for 50, 10% with a $1.37 ROI. Those are not really strong numbers, and I'm just not sure that we're going to see the best effort out of Pat on the Back in this return race. One of his main rivals is going to be the number 8 Syndergaard, and Syndergaard has really gotten back into his career form for John Terranova recently. He's a horse that showed a ton of promise and precocity for Todd Pletcher as a 2-year-old. For a long time, he was off form, just couldn't quite get back to his best races, but his recent form has really been solid. I can give him a pass for his poor effort in the Tom Fool last time because he was never going to be any match for Deuce Sherry that day, who just ran off the screen in a super impressive effort. But Syndergaard ran fine to be 5th that day, and his prior efforts before that really make him a major player in this race. Both of his efforts in the St. Florida Sandy and the Haynesfield would be good enough to put him right in the mix. They're on par with some of the best efforts that Pat on the Back has ever run. The question for Syndergaard is, how fast is the pace going to be? Can he keep up going to 6 furlongs? I think he showed that he can run fast fractions last time in the Tom Fool, but it really did take a toll on him in the stretch. So will they use him early? Will he be coming from off the pace? I'm just not really sure what kind of trip he's going to work out, but I do respect his talent. A horse that I think you have to respect based on his past performance is the number 6 I Love Lulu because he's the winner of this race last year. He's the horse that beat Pat on the Back when that horse was making his return in the 2018 Affirmed Success. I Love Lulu, he hasn't really ascended to the stakes level ever since then. He does have one victory, 2 back in the Slav against Optional Claiming Company. He's a horse that really does appreciate any moisture in the track, and there is rain in the forecast for Friday, so that might help him. I'm just not really thrilled with his efforts surrounding that win against stakes competition. He's been beaten by horses like Bavaro, Runaway Loot, and Celtic Chaos in the past year, and I'm just not sure that I Love Lulu is really at the top of his game right now. Maybe the wet track helps him, but he's a horse that I'll use underneath and not really key on top. My top pick in this race and my highlight horse on Friday is the number 1 Bavaro. I know that it's hard to take a horse who ran so poorly in his last race, but I don't think Bavaro got the right trip in that Caixa Electronica on the Claiming Championships card at Aqueduct back on March 30th. First of all, that race was going 7 furlongs, and 7 furlongs is just too far for this horse. And furthermore, Junior Alvarado just seemed to be a little bit tentative right out of the gate with him. He didn't really want to use this horse's speed. I think he was kind of worried about this horse perhaps not getting the distance. And Bavaro was just in and among horses, stalking outside the entire way. And that's really not the kind of trip that Bavaro wants to get. He wants to just be gunned out of the gate and really be on go from the start and try to run a field off their feet. And I think drawing the inside post in this Affirmed Success, that's what Rajiv Miraj, his new rider, is going to do with him. He's got to just send this horse to the front. The pace projector is predicting that he's fast enough to get to the front alongside horses like I Love Lulu and Tribeca. And I think looking 3 back in Bavaro's PPs to that Holly Hughes, I think if Linda Rice can get him back to the effort that he put forth that day, he will beat this field because he outran his main pace rival Tribeca to the lead despite not breaking sharply that day, and he just dominated that race thereafter, opening up an insurmountable advantage at the top of the stretch and holding off a closer like Celtic Chaos in the late stages. I think if Bavaro can break sharply this time and run those same kind of fractions, he can hold on and beat this field because Pat on the Back might be a little bit rusty. I don't know what we're going to get from Syndergaard, and Bavaro does have it in him to run a race fast enough to beat this field. He's 8-1 on the morning line, and I think we're going to get a decent price on him because people will be scared off by that poor recent effort. But Linda Rice is not a trainer who'd be running a horse in a spot as tough as this if she didn't expect him to rebound with a better performance. So I'm taking Bavaro at a bit of a price in the Affirmed Success as my TimeformUS Highlight Horse on Friday at Belmont Park. Hopefully we can make a score with this one. I'll see you next week with another TimeformUS Highlight Horse.